So for this session, I'll cover some basics of using ReShade to work with external, right? How to set up lights, pose, and basically focus on making the character look like it's inserted on the scene, covered by the texture, right? So we'll also be going a little bit over my own personal ReShade pipeline and how I normally use it, right? Some favorite presets I use in specific situation, how to use it, set up it to customize. So before we start, I just want to say this is a very casual session. Please feel free to ask any questions anytime. Sophie is literally sitting inside, so she can poke me if I miss a question too. And remember, we are here to learn and have. Again, this is also my first attempt on a Discord stage. I'm pretty sure I'll fumble my way around. I hope it will at least be an entertaining way for you all. So feel free to laugh at my expense. I see some friendly faces here today. Hey everyone, and I hope you all ready to learn something new. So let's get started. So external texture. I wrote a guide a little while ago about how to load external textures, right? Originally it was a guide for ReShade, then I updated it to ReShade, and I tried out some positions to see how it will behave ReShade platform, right? Everything seems to be working fine. So this will be our victim for this. So I have here Louise. She is on our. We have some there already. Oh no, disappeared. Okay. Anyway, so I have Louise here on our figurine stand, right? But what we are going to do is to play around with external. Let's select one external texture for us to use as a background, and let's try to use it as a background. Let's see how it goes. So I have some textures here. I don't know if you can see. I hopefully I'm sharing my screen, not sharing the game interface. Okay, let's get it. Oh, hi there, Nemi. There we go. First rainbow. Anyway, so okay, so let's go back to the textures that I prepared. Oh, you're too kind. Thank you, Ruji. I prepared some textures here that we can use to try to get some nice compositions going on. So here is how it's going to be. Let's pick a texture to give a theme to the composition, right? We'll pick an instance or a place in the open world to help with the natural lighting if necessary. And then we enter pose, go through ReShade, select a preset that matches kind of the theme, right? And try to match the tones with the background to make them like seamless, right? So what we have here, we have some divine themes, some hellish themes, some modern ones, a tavern. Sophia, pick one. Choose one of the available themes.
Hold on a second. Which outfit for that outfit?
I set up these three here for the divine one. We have some hellish ones, Neo Tokyo, and taverns. This one?
Okay. No, one above.
Oh, this one? This one I used it on a previous. Sorry, I didn't remove it from the texture folder.
How about the cyberpunk one?
The cyberpunk, okay. So let's pick this one. Okay, so let me open this one. Let me show this. So for this one here, we have high contrast, right? It's a night themed one. Of course you would. So we also have strong light sources, right? So I think one of the possible places for us to go is Kugani. If we are lucky and it's night in game, we can use the spaces around. Oh, there's also rain. At least the floor have some reflective surfaces, right? So if you're lucky and Kugani is right now at night and with rain, that's a viable possibility. Otherwise, we can try an instance, right? So let's pay a visit to Kugani. Is the audio not behaving? Of course, it's a perfect day in Kugani. Not a very faint, clouds in the sky. It's night, just bright, glowy day. So pretty, totally not usable for what we are trying to do. So, okay, let's try an instance then. One that we can do, let me switch to Explorer mode. Stormblood. The Gimlet Dark, maybe. Right, so the idea is not to get exactly the same tones as the texture, right? But just kind of match the overall scenario light scene. In case we can't, the idea is just to get something closer, and then we can adjust with the external light sources, right? So let's give this a try. But since it's a modern set scene, again, this is the picture, right? Let's try to do it with a slightly more modern setup. We can leave the Harajuku Goth Lolita glam for a different session. What do I have here? That can work. Let me remove the accessory, and yeah, that should work. So let's get started. Deeply dark. Here we go. Amorot would be a good suggestion. Let me just try and check the lights in here. Then I exit, go to Amorot, and we see which one works best. You know what? I think you're right, because Amorot have a more distributed light. In here, there's a lot of overhead lights. Works well for specific situations, but not so well right now. So maybe the moon, yes. Let's pay a quick visit to Amorot just to check. Macarensis angle. Now imagine that, right? I agree, this light is slightly better. Let's find a good location. Top the buildings. Let's check here, and then we pay a quick visit to the moon, and then we pick one up. There is, of course, this kind of greenish cyan tone overall to the scene, so we may need to try to counter this, because the texture is very bright and has a lot of contrast, right? But still, it can be worked on with not only the presets, but also just the external lights. That may work. And you can see that there is not the scene sources, they are not very strong, right? So that helps with setting up the lights using the 3-point lights, right? Let's pay a quick visit to the moon. Sinus lacrimarum. Yeah, sorry for this point. Thanks for the point, Thomas. You're not here. You're not seeing this. Oh, the caves, right? Yes. I'm terribly sorry. I should totally make a disclaimer here. We may be visiting everything because, yeah, I have the main scenario finished, so... Oh, okay, I'm sorry. No, but I think this will work. Let me just pick a scene with shadow and see if we have projections. Because we're not actually using the backgrounds, right? We are only trying to benefit from the lighting of the place. So let me compare. Let's bring it here. I think this may work because what we can do is set up Louise in an angle. Bye, Chocobo. No. Yeah. Anyway, withdraw. I think we can set it up in such a way that the bright spot is in the background. So it creates this rim light here, right? And this we can use as a reference. If we check the original image, we have these bright sources here that we can try to match with the position, right? So I think it's going to work. Let's pick. Thanks for the suggestion on the moon. Yes, we got a viable place. And of course, when you find a place that can provide you with reference lighting, you're saving on, you're not wasting point lights, right? That you can later use for example, highlights on a shot. So let me do something really quick. Let me see a good pose. I think this would be a good end. Right, so which pose? Of course I forgot to sit to reset the animation. Sit. Should be fine now. No, just a baby pose. I often start like this because I stand a pose. We have the doll-like muted expression, so I just try to modify it a bit. I'm using face camera to look away. Let me use track camera to move the eyes a little bit to give a more lifelike expression, right? Like this. Let's apply an expression. There we go. Unfreeze, expression. There.
There's no surprise there.
No surprises at all, right? This is standard. Yes. Okay. So now let's start playing. Thomas, any question is in chat or add the question? Oh, thank you very much. Yes. You would not believe the amount of fantasias that I spent fixing, for example, 1 degree of skin tone, one number on the eye color. Yes, so I'm glad I landed on a final configuration for this that I really like, because yeah, there was some investment in Fantasia there.
Skin color, because it's not like you can't get a tan, right?
But that's why I created Dark Skinned Louise, which is another alt. She may do a small appearance here in the next minutes, but not necessarily. Anyway, we have Louise. Awesome. Let's now find a preset that may help us with a kind of lighting again to kind of match. And I wish I could just pin these here somewhere, but I can't. My setup is like super bare. So let's try one that will give us a nice degree of contrast and vivid colors. For this one, I will play with Maya. Maya have a lot of my collection have a lot of presets that work very well with skin tone contrast. Me too, Esther. I'm such a fan. You may notice that I already set up some vertical preview in some. This one is good. I like the tone here. So which one was this? Aerial gameplay. Oh, this one is good too. You know what? Let's fly with this one. So let me bring again up the picture, and this is often how my pipeline works, right? I try to find something that matches the overall tone. The shadows are not very strong, which is goes against this specific point of the scene that is not deep in shadows, right? But here are a lot of shadowed areas. You have a lot of light sources in the background. But what we can do is try to compensate this with the minimal brightness. And now this kind of gives us the general tone, right? So let's try to load the texture now. So the shader that we want to use is called stage depth. This one here, okay? So you may notice that we might already have something set up here, but since we're not using the background, we can overwrite the value and use our own. So on the preprocessor definitions here for stage depth, you may notice that it's already defined as Maya stage kinds.png. I'm not saving our changes, but I'll just change the value here so we can load the texture that we want. So let's go back here. The name of the texture is Neo Tokyo 1 PNG. And I put this inside this folder, Aquitaine, so I wouldn't mess up other stuff. So in order to make this actually be used by ReShade, I need to do a period, // Aquitaine, the name of the folder, / the name of the file. So you may notice that it loaded on the background, right? But it's still kind of because it's literally using all the configuration that Maya set up for their presets. If we're starting from the get-go, we would the stage depth would be unchecked like this. We would check stage depth, and on the preprocessor definitions would fill up that the texture name, right? Now, let's go to stage depth 1 block here, and we may notice that we are basically borrowing whatever configuration was in place from the presets, right? And in this case, it's set for soft light. I want it to be a normal texture, because in this case, we are going to completely ignore the current backgrounds, right? But you may notice that it's stretched out. That's not exactly what we want. So what we can do is, first of all, let me see the dimensions of the original image. Here I have it, and the image size is 124, 124. So let me set the buffer width here, 124, and see if, okay, and 124. Okay, awesome. So now we have a proper square texture, and let me close this UI elements, and we can come here and scale. So it kind of covers out there. Notice that I don't want to, there may be an area, a specific area of this texture that I want to consume, right? So I may position Luis just using the normal camera controls on G-Pose to find a better angle. So let me see. Actually, the original position was not bad at all. Okay, so now we are here, and with the texture in the background, it makes it much easier for us to try to do the tone matching, right? This is often how I work. I identify some light sources here. We notice that there is a pink-red source here that is mixed with some white, right? We have this blue source here, and we have this hazy white source in the background. So what we're going to do is, let's rotate the character, and let's set up the point sources. There we go. To kind of emulate these lights, right? So one here, let's just check. It's still too dim, so what we can do is make it stronger. Too strong, let's lessen it a little bit. And why am I using a type 1? Because type 1 has a smaller fall off distance, right? And you may notice this. Let's try a type 3. You'll notice that now the difference between the gradient between the highlight spots and the shadowed spots is very small. It creates that that illusion there is like a super bright spot close, right? But if I set it as a type 1, you'll notice that my gradient, the area where the lights transition from the super bright spots to the shadow spots is longer. It has more details, right? Yeah, this kind of setup is actually borrowed from real life photography, right? So what you do is to create these reference lights that instead of illuminating the character directly, you create these rim lights that detaches the character from the background, but without detaching them from the scene itself, right? So I think this one is too red, so let's compensate a little bit by raising blue and lessening reds. So now it's kind of matched, because of course there's the skin color, right? So we don't want to manipulate the color to the point where it starts to feel unrealistic, right? Let's try a little bit more blue. I think if we reduce now this and this, there, I think it starts to match this better. Now let's set up a source, a point of light for this.
Is there a way to make this text bigger?
I wish there was. Yeah, I'm terribly sorry for the absurdly small interface for ReShade. Yeah, I'm running this on a 4K configuration, so it may be kind of hard to see. So, but I'll do this, and let me see if that kind of helps. Let me cut a little piece here, and let's open GIMP, and I'll try to go over the details of what I'm actually trying to do. Is it easier to see now? Can we actually see the interface? I didn't yet, Mr. A. I will, but I didn't want to mess up my configuration on my machine. So, because of course I would. So I'll try after this. So you may note that these are the values that I actually typed on the interface. This is the texture size, right? This is the texture that I'm using, and I scaled up the texture so it could actually the lights adjustment to just the third lights rather than the first. Did I? I was trying to. But yes, I totally did. Man, I need coffee. Ah, yes, now it works. Thank you very much. Donations are accepted in form of Starbucks. You can just send it my way. Anyway, so now it's actually working as intended, right? And okay, so let's try to set up the lights for this source here that has a more cyan tone to it. It's closer than these lights here, right? So let's make it very close to the character. I will also set up, let's use the one that I messed up, the type 1 here, and see how it will match. Kind of good, but it's too much in front. It's giving an illusion that the light is more to the front. Yes, I totally need to set up a coffee. Anyway, let's move the light source here, and let's see how it behaves. Slightly better. Now it's hiding too much. So let's rotate a little bit, still close to the character's heads. Better. And now let me reduce the intensity. Right, so now it looks like the light source is coming from here. And let's do a final one for this source here, okay? And I will try to make it's kind of in the wrong angle, but the objective here is to create the ring light, right? So red. Let's suppress, what's the tone again? It's like pinkish, right? So let's give a little bit of, let's see if it works. Right, you're going to find, oh, right. So another thing that I forgot to mention, when you're using stage depth, you can actually set guess what? The depth where the texture is appearing, right? So in this case, we want it to be very close to the character, to the point of disappearing, occluding the objects around the character, right? But we want to give it enough leeway so we can set up the character details. So let's go here, red lights. Good, but not diffuse enough. Let's get it very close. Set it here, and let's reduce a little bit of this brightness. Okay, we need more red to look like if it's coming from there. I think this is good. I don't want to go too strong here, because you can see some reflection on the shorts here, right? So I have two options here. Or I can shallow the angle, that will eliminate the source and readjust all the lights. Or I can just leave this like this, because it's still giving a proper insertion of the character, right? Because the tones are actually matching now, it looks like the character is part of the background. Let's see if we can reduce the character lighting a little bit. Let me try the maximum. It looks good on the skin, but now the character looks so detached, right? Let's reduce it here. Let's control a little bit of the general brightness as well. There we go. So now we kind of have a good match. I'm still kind of not very satisfied with the red light, because we're getting some reflection like if the light was coming from the floor, right? So let's try to get red slightly up. Now the curve is slightly better. Like this. Now let me move the background, the stage depth, closer to her, to take a little bit more off the floor. There we go. And this would be my first candidate for a shot. Right? Like this. So let me take the shots and let's try a few different angles, different positions to see if we get oh, I like this angle. Let me move her a little bit to the side. This one too. Oh, this looks like an ad. Now I need to make a Eorzea ads here for the headsets. There you go. And from now, I would probably just take this to GIMP as well and try to work with the cropping, right? But one important thing, I don't know because of the resolution that I'm using, that we can see some dithering because the texture itself is small, right? It's just 124 by 124. And the resolution on the screen is, I think, 3000 by something. So we can see some dithering. One option that we have, you may see here, stage depth is set up, right? Let me see if I can reset the search. There we go. So stage depth is here, and we have depth of field, adaptive depth of field here. So if we move stage depth before, we can start to see that we have the kind of distortion generated by stage depth applies to, by Adobe applies to stage depth, but it's too strong, right? So let's do this. Let's locate Adobe in the list. And let's try to make it less strong. There you go. So you can see here how the blurring effect is provided by depth of field is actually applying to the texture itself, right? So it gives more of that idea that we have the character in the foreground, and the camera is the focus effect of the camera is diffusing the background. If I was to be, if I try to, the OCG part of me start to play with this, I would create one background that is closer, make some specific parts of it transparent, set up a different stage depth in the background with more. Yes, so that's exactly what it means. So a quick explanation. Depth of field is caused because you have focus on lenses, right, and cameras. So the way that the light approaches and is the camera, the lenses, and is imprinted, you create higher contrast areas with good definition for objects that are on the focus point. And the objects that are removed from the focus points, they get diffused, right? So if you have a shallow focus, that means that objects that are near the focus points are very well defined. But as soon as the objects move from the distance that would be the correct one for the focus points, they start to get these diffuse aspects, these blurry aspects. And the blurriness follow a specific pattern. So there is this kind of real-life photography that is called diorama photography, where people get these very specific focus configurations and objects that are. Let me see if I can find a picture too, so you can see exactly what I mean. Diorama pictures, city. There we go. I think I found a good one. So, yeah, I stopped. Please ignore. Let me load the picture here and right. So this is what I mean. So objects that are sitting. This is this kind of forced perspective for diorama shots, right? You can notice that the shallow focus here makes objects that start to get away from the focus points. And also, even in the direction of the camera, they get this blurry appearance, right? And the further away you are from the focus, the blurrier it is. Oh, and the picture should be, it's okay for me, but I don't know if they are appearing very clearly to you. So this, right? Okay, and this is not an ad for iStock. I just grabbed it from the internet to show. Anyway, so the questions. Okay, I'll let Buffy take this one because she is the artist, the professional artist in the house. I just play with photography. And the picture set, you can see that the background is equally blurry in all, but there. That's because that's a diffusion filter, right? What you can see in the picture, the picture that Sophie posted in chat is that the character's face has high definition, right? But one of the artifacts that are available is that you can diffuse even these characteristics to give it more of a soft appearance to the shots, right? So if you read the descriptions, you can see that we have like diffusion filters, right? Yes, so the image that Neil posted now is an extremely good example. You have the focus, the focus distance set at the objects, right? And you have the backgrounds, the object, the image in the background suffers this kind of diffused Gaussian blur effect, right? So back to the picture. We borrowed the characteristics from Adolf to blur our backgrounds. Let's get this baby screenshotted as well. And notice that the same effect that I used for Adolf here, you may sense the stage depth to a higher position in the pipeline. So the effects generated by them also applies to the stage depth, right? So if you are using someone's presets that already have all this pipeline set in place, this may help you get a very quick way to test with the other aspects of the presets, right? So again, just to demonstrate the pipeline, look at the screenshots. Let's open GIMP. Diffusion is just a different way to express the kind of Gaussian blur that the depth of field generates. So let's come here. Let's close this image. Let me hunt down on the absurdly big folder with images. Here, storage. I kid you not, my folder with Final Fantasy XIV screenshots is right now at 220 gigabytes. Images. Okay, so let's bring this one. So now we have it on GIMP. Feel free to use whatever post-processing tool you have available. But in my case here, I just want to make a square shot. So that would be it. I'm here, set this up, get a proper angle. I'm cleaning up the right side of the picture because I may want to use this for a fake ad, for example, right? Trying to keep the proportions. Luis is taking the left side of the 3-point distribution. That would be it. Now that's one. Let's save this one here. And let's try a different approach, a different picture with the different backgrounds. So to illustrate exactly cutting hands or not cutting hands. This is an excellent discussion, actually. Depends. Sometimes there's a school of photography that says never do that. You keep limbs intact, or you cut it closer to the main body parts, right? So you can have a shot that is like, say, let me use the camera here, like this, right? Let me adjust the position. There we go. So you can have a shot like this that preserves the chest, the nose, the face, and the other body parts are hidden. That is totally valid. For some shots, you may want to include a full body picture. But because of the position right here, let me move the stage depth a little bit further so it can include Luis, right? It may include, in this case, for example, the full hands, right? This is a matter of preference. Sometimes you can have a setup that allows for very nice distribution of the subjects in a picture, right? So if you're following the rule of thirds, where you distribute, let's see, do we have a rule of thirds? Composition thirds, kind of, but this is not a full image, right? But wait a bit, I can do this. Vertical previewer, slightly better. So let's rotate Luis. The texture will stay. Anyway, so rule of thirds is basically a way for objects to be distributed. It's a photography practice, right? That says try to distribute the important parts of your composition in a grid. Let me take this part off. Composition thirds. And imagine that there is a grid here that breaks apart both the vertical and horizontal lines in blocks of 3, right? So imagine there is a square here, here, and here, and one here, and here. And if you distribute the objects in the screen by filling the points where the squares cross with an object, this is more pleasing to the eye, right? Matcha. Welcome aboard. To include the background picture on ReShade, I'm using shader called Stage Depth. This one, right? I'll put a link to the guide explaining how to do this in chat later, so you don't lose this little bit of information. So we are, yes.
Does
please.
Control Scroll Wheel change the UI size at all?
Control the scroll?
Yeah.
No, not for me.
I was googling. That was potential.
I wish it did. I'll try. But thanks for the tip. Send me the link to that so I can explore it as well. Anyway, we are at 48 minutes. So let's try something else. Let's go from the beginning again, and this may help illustrate how to load textures, right? We got the shots here. Let's go with a different texture now. So not here. This one? Yes. Len, excellent opportunity. Can you pick one of these textures here by position that you may want to see an image being composed with? There's this divine theme here, this hellish themes, a tavern, and that's it. The other ones I already used. Actually, Thomas, it's your turn. Go. Which one you want? it's sorry, I didn't add you to the speaker list. Totally my bad. Oopsies.
Okay.
The fourth in first row. This one here. Awesome. So let's take a look. Oh, so ominous. Okay, I have the perfect place for this. And the perfect lamp. Let's exit. And let's go with this tank glam here. There we go. And the place that we will go... Yes, the Tiefling glam. And... not Shadowbringers. Selection. We are going to be a visit to Vanaspati. Yes, right? Okay. So again, we are not using the backgrounds right now. Right? We could. The scene. There are some places here that work very well, but the local lighting is reddish, so that may help us with the shots. Yes, you can rotate the texture. I'll show how. I think this is open space enough, and I may even use the details from the ground. So let's try some speed run, any percent scene composition here. This. Oh wait, fashion accessories. Because if you're going with horns, why not go with wings? And let's try an action scene. Oh, maybe this animation. Okay.
Just to clarify, dear.
Yes.
Stage depth with ReShade?
Yeah. Great. Okay. So we have the scene, and let's try. So what I'm doing here, you can use this. Oh, yes. If you want, ReShade with full add-on support, because that's the one that works with Final Fantasy. The two versions exist because some games may trigger, mostly, and to my knowledge, right, may trigger some detection of cheat mechanism, because you can use this kind of textures, for example, in FPS games, to high textures, right? So yeah, that's why ReShade exists in these two formats. Again, I'm not a specialist. I'm trying to put information from memory. Let's set a face, because specific faces may allow you to use the camera tracking, even if you're using weapon skill. But in this case, it didn't change it, but it should be fine. Let's reset. And if you don't want to use tools like anamnesis, can you still use, like, for example, now I paused my character with 2, and I'll press 1 and 2 in sequence very quickly, just to allow more detailed, so we can see better the keyframes for the animation, right? This one is not bad. I think we can go with this. So let's load the preset, stage depth. We still have the older texture here, right? So let's load the one that Thomas chose. The name is okay. So let's replace it here. So right now I'm on stage depth, and on the preprocessor definitions, I'm changing the texture name to 1. That's the one, I think, right? So this one is slightly different. The resolution is 1536 by 124. So let me adjust the size here. 1536. And they should be this may be on a better proportion, right? So let's send the camera a little bit higher, and let's remove the scale a little bit. I think it should be fine. And let me position the camera on a better angle. Something like this. So you notice that the tone of the floor here in anamnesis is a tool that you can also use to better control, for example, the animation speeds, right? But of course, the tool would only be available for users on PC. So if we are talking about keyframes is a keyframe is a technical term for example, when you have an animation that includes a character raising their arm and moving the leg at the same time and spinning around. Each one of those actions, they are actually recorded as different frames of the animation, but you don't have an animation like a movie, right? You have specific place. Oh, so what I'm doing is using these two keys here, disable and enable all motion, and disable animation target motion. But since I have only one character here, I'm pressing 2 to unlock the animation, right? Right now I'm freezing. And I will press 1 and 2 in rapid succession, like this, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, so I can actually navigate it. This on PC, but the same feature is available on console, right? So let's try to get that frame again. Let her pause. Oh, yeah, it's here. So what I'm doing is trying to navigate these keyframes to get better pose for it. Oh, there you go. I passed the frame I wanted. Let's go again. Right. There. This is good enough. So we still have the background set there. The tone on the floor is kind of similar. It gives us a nice opportunity to use it as if it was part of the background, right? And now you set up lights. We have a big glowy source here of yellow light. We have some red around, right? So, and we of course we have the weapon here that it can also be a light source, right? So let's do this. I go behind the character and I will set up light 1, give it a very, very strong red. The green components here will give the yellowish tone to it. Let's see how it works. More. Here. Let's make it stronger. And depending on the zone, for example, if the light here is too strong, I may need to set up a stronger points, like light type 2. I might, sorry, here. The lights. Here, set up the lights. And type 2. Type 3. Interesting, it's changing there. I can see some changes in the reflection here. But still seems that the scene is too strong. Let's see here. Okay, but then it starts to reflect a little bit on her nose. The fickle nature of light setup in G-Pose. Let me close this interface, I don't need it anymore. Okay, I think this works. And one thing that you may have noticed, we have the model here appearing in front, right? But the effects, they aren't. This is tricky. That's why you see a lot of times in poses with custom backgrounds like this, I may switch to weapons without effects, so you can have a better control of the detachment of the model from the background, right? So we have that source. Let's set a red source here. Here, red. After all, we are in hell. Oh. Let's move the source a little bit up. Oh, we have, of course, the ring of fire here. So let's create an effect that indicates that it's some light coming from, because and of course a ring that doesn't appear because of the backgrounds. Yay! But yeah, so I think the sky here has some lighting, so I may set up a light source in front of her to bring some details to the face. That's too much, and let's try to compensate by sending it to the side. Better. Now I can reduce the global brightness to try to match the background. Yeah, it was a very bad choice of weapon from me because of this, right? But since what we're trying to do is match the backgrounds, we have missing aspects of the weapon. But all in all, this would be the kind of a setup that I would come up to create this kind of scene. And let me give it as a little bit of Dutch angle, which is, again, a misnomer. The correct name for the technique is Deutsch angle, but you know how things go. Let me change here. Let me do exactly the same. Stage depth is already behind Dove. So this one, I'm not like super happy with the result because of the weapon, but if I didn't want to abuse your time because it's already 501, I would substitute it with non-glowy weapons, and this shot would be in a much better state of composition in the background. But you see how we managed to work with the environment's lighting and some specific positioning of the point light sources, how we have kind of the tone matching the colors of the backgrounds, how we are trying to follow the hints from the source image to create this kind of highlight points in the image, right? And this is basically my pipeline for creating this kind of composite images with external textures and G-pose. Do you have any questions? Dutch angle, yeah. So Dutch angle. This is your regular, mom and pop pose. We are sitting on an horizontal position, right? But if you want to add some drama to the scene, some uncertainty to the scene, you can twist. Yes, Sophia?
To make it spicy.
Spicy, yes. If you want to make it spicy, you can rotate the floor. You lose the balance of the floor, right? Yes, it promotes a sense of uneasiness to the scene. So this is also something that you can see frequently in movies and photography as well. When you have a shot that is like more dramatic, right? You rotate the scene, and sometimes you rotate it absurdly to create some sort of diagonal disposition for the picture. Yes, more questions. Right? It gives this kind of dynamic approach to the shots.
It also gives a little bit of foreshortening.
It does, you're correct, yes. Question 2. I know that we are kind of over time, but I would like to give the opportunity for if anyone else have more questions. Oh, there's a nice angle here somewhere.
T is highlighting some questions.
Is there anywhere you could find common definitions of words to help you to pose like diffusion, saturation? That's actually an interesting ask. Let me try to. There are a lot of guides out there for that, but specifically for posing, let me try to put together a little glossary with specifics for for this kind of the terms that we are using here for virtual photography image pose. Thanks for the suggestion. I'll get one together, and I'll later post it on the resources page here in Discord.
Here's a simple one that might give a visual idea, right? There's these water bottles that are very
I can't hear you.
I can't?
No. You can enable your microphone.
I thought I was coming through cleaning.
We can hear Sophie through your mic, Liam.
Yeah,
Oh, yes?
right.
Oh, that's good. Okay, sorry. But now go on, Sophie.
It's muted because I don't want to give too much feedback.
Okay.
But, like if you have seen those water bottles where
Right.
you could put like cucumber in it, it has like the little chamber that has slots in it, and you just put the water and you put your fruit in there, right? That's called a diffuser because the flavor of the strawberries.
I see the
diffuses
analogy. Yes,
into
you're
the
correct.
water.
Yes.
So with lighting, it's similar.
Yes. Thank you. No, don't be.
I don't know if that makes sense.
So, where do get good textures? So, there's a lot of images out there. These specific ones, I generated using Midjourney, right? Since it's not for sale, these images are not for sold, just to demonstrate the technique. That's a perfectly fine use, in my opinion, for this kind of content. And it also helps create this kind. It's a more controlled environment where you can create specific scene compositions for specific shots, right? But there are resources out there where you can just look for copyright-free images that you can use for these specific kind of instances where, again, we are just trying to set up a specific mood for a scene, right? So that's also doable. I don't have any specific places, but I remember that when I searched a while ago to write a guide, the initial guide about external textures, I found some Creative Commons spaces where you could use the image. The only thing that you need is to do attribution, saying that mentioning the place where you found it. And to be respectful of people's times, do we have more questions? I don't want to abuse anyone's schedule. Awesome. Okay, so thank you, Thomas. Oh, please do, Mia, feel free to ask again. There's a whole Discord out there. Feel free to drop your questions. There's a lot of people here that is very knowledgeable, right? So it shouldn't be a problem. I think that's time. Thank you all so much for coming to this session. I had a lot of fun. I hope you learned something new, and that helps you, feel inspired to apply these tidbits to your digital sessions. I also thank you all for your. I'd like to thank you all for your participation and engagement. It was very fun to be part of. I really enjoyed answering these questions and seeing your feedback. I'm already looking forward to the next sessions in the series. We'll try to cover other aspects of ReShade and virtual photography techniques. If you have anything that you would like to hear about, feel free to drop a line. We can try to elaborate this in next sessions. In the meantime, if you have any questions about the stuff we discussed in the session, or ReShade, or virtual photography in general, please feel free to leave these questions in the chat, or post them in the community space. I'm always happy to help. And I'm also glad to say that we have our share of members who are not only very knowledgeable, but also very kind, warm, and welcoming. I'm looking at all of you that are also part of this chat. Let me see chat. You're all welcome. Thank you so much for being part of this.